I'm going to teach you right now something that, well, I think a lot of folks have tried to explain, but probably none as simply as you're about to see right now, as I do not only remove green screen in DaVinci Resolve 12.5, I'll give you a little rundown of that software too, but I also show you how to do it with spokespeople in mind. So whether it's for VideoPal use or just general use, if you don't have VideoPal, well, guess what? Right now, I'm going to give you a nice little rundown on how to do green screen in DaVinci Resolve. The rest of the training you could find below. Watch. Okay, so obviously, the first thing you want to do is actually download it. I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm going to dwell on the green screen use. But if you put DaVinci Resolve in Google, or you just use the link underneath this video, you'll be taken right to the right place, which is Blackmagic Design, DaVinci Resolve 12.5. You can see it right here, and you can actually download it right away. You could actually download a version from Mac or PC, and then there's more information underneath. So with that said, let's get right down to it. I'm in DaVinci Resolve here right now. This is it on the upper right. When I first loaded it, it did ask me if I wanted to have the look and feel of Adobe Premiere or Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve previously. I chose, in this case, Adobe Premiere because I think that will follow closest with the video training that we have underneath this video. Actually, what I do now, or I already started to do, is I loaded a background for a video. Okay, my video is right here. It's actually the one that you're watching today, right here, and I'm going to show you how I split it. So there it is. I put it right in there, and now we're going to work on that in just a moment. Now, while I have your attention on me bringing stuff in, I want to show you what I've done here. There's 4 tabs at the bottom: Media, Edit, Color, and Deliver. I'm not going to dwell on this now, but it's pretty obvious. The media is where you store your media. The edit is where you're going to perform editing on a timeline. The color is where we're going to be doing our green screen work, and delivering is going to be where we render and push the video out to the public or our hard drive. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is go to edit. When I go to edit, I have the timeline here on the bottom, and I have right here the various different pieces that I'm going to use. Now, I want to drag in, obviously, my video. That's very important to do. And then if you look closely, you'll see that the video is in 2 parts. The video part, which is denoted as V1, and the audio part, which is denoted as A1. If I could show you on the upper right here, there's actually a little control. Do you see this right here? If I click on this, it's going to give me a choice for showing audio waveforms. Now, the reason why I'd want to do that is in case I wanted to split the video, or split the audio, I should say. And there's a reason for that. I mean, when you see your audio, you can figure out where to actually cut it, because it starts and stops. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring an image underneath. All right, and in order to do that, I would just go like this. So in this case, I would be against a house here. Now, in order to bring it underneath, what I really need to do is lift the video up. When we lift the video up, notice it's split from the audio because all the audio defaults to the bottom. But now that I've lifted the video up, I can now slide my image in place. I could stretch it out by just clicking on the edge and dragging it. And now basically I'm pretty much set. Now I'm pretty much set, but I do want to show you later the Kelly green and how that looks, and why you would do that for VideoPal. That is to make a bright green backdrop rather than this kind of dull green backdrop that's already behind me. So I'm going to put that here. So we'll actually have 2 backgrounds going. One will be the green and one will be a house, and we'll compare them. So we're all set up now to go to the Color tab where we'll do our chroma key work. Okay, we're inside DaVinci Resolve's color area, and we're particularly going to be doing green screen work, so we're going to need to set up what's called an alpha channel. Everything is very similar to other software such as Camtasia, but it's a little bit more hands-on, so it gets a little more complicated looking, even though it's not really that much more complicated. But let me show you the way to do it, the simplest way to do it. So the first thing that is suggested to do by all the videos that I've watched, curating all those videos and condensing them, is to create what's called a new node. And I'll explain what a node is in just a moment. You can't see it, but at the very top of my screen, I have in the menu, and you could kind of see it now, it says nodes, and then it says add serial node. You see that at the top here. I'm going to click on that, and what it does is it adds this right here. Now, what a node is basically a work area. So we're passing from the top video, which is right here. That's the video that we originally put on top. And it passes the output of color right here. It's passing through one work area into our latest work area. And then what we want to do is not only pass the color, but now we also want to pass an invisible channel, also known as an alpha channel. And that's what we're going to do. And the way to do that is to do a click. Anywhere in here is to click, right click, and then add alpha output, okay? The alpha output is denoted by this blue area right here, this little blue output, okay? So we have the color here, and then we have the transparency as it's called here, and the way to connect that to your work area is just by clicking on the triangle there and taking this line and attaching it there. So there's our output, okay? So this is our work area, the node, and it's going to be sending a transparency and the color channel both out. All right, so that's important. You'll see why in just a moment. That's the first step. So that differs from what we've seen in other pieces of software. The next step is to pick the eyedropper. The eyedropper is right here, and that's called the qualifier. But the very first step is to use your eyedropper, and we're set up in doing that right here. You see where the eyedropper is kind of pointing into what looks like a pool of water because there's concentric circles. That means that you're set up right now to just select any color. So we're going to go back up here and select a color to disappear. All right? So which color should we select? Well, let's select something in between the darkest green and the lightest green. Let's pick something right here. All right, I've clicked this. And immediately you notice there's something wrong. As we take a look at the workspace right here, you see that I've disappeared, not the background. And that's basically what happens during your first step. But that's easy to reverse. We go back down to the selection range here, and you can see this reversal tab. This tab is actually called invert, and we're going to click it. And now you can see it's starting to get better, but we still haven't gotten rid of the green here. We can still see right here in our workspace that we haven't gotten rid of it there either. Now, when we get rid of it here, it's going to show a background. When we get rid of it here, it's just going to show the transparency. It will just be blank. It'll shine through to this gray nothingness, all right? Well, this will become more clear in just a moment when I do the following step. The next step is what I like the best, and that's clicking this right here. That eyedropper lets you choose more colors. So you see the eyedropper and a plus. Think more. The plus means more. So I'm going to click that. Now I'm going to choose more colors to disappear. So I click this. 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 And you're saying, wait a minute, Todd. Why aren't we seeing the background? Actually, we are seeing the background. Remember? This is what I showed at this part of the video. One of the reasons why I loaded this house as one of my backgrounds is because I wanted to show you so that you don't get confused that the house is there. All right? You see, there's the house, there's the garage, but I haven't gotten rid of all the green in front of it. I could still try to click that green with the eyedropper, but I haven't gotten rid of every single speck. Well, how do I do that? How do I get rid of the rest of that green, those specks that are left? How do I make it that right around me, right here, is going to turn all beige gray and not be green anymore? Because both of those things are what you're striving for. All right, well, the way is to go now to this. Remember in Camtasia when I said you can actually control the tolerance and almost ignore everything else? And that's the most important thing, to move left and right. You see that right here, okay, on the right-hand side of Camtasia. Well, that's basically what we're doing as well as we take a look at this software when it comes to the hue and the controls, because what we're going to do is pick more colors than just the narrow color that we've so far focused in on. And the way to first do that is to click over where it says soft and then make that bigger by scrolling to the right. See how I'm scrolling left to right and making that bigger? Now, while I was doing that, the green was disappearing. And if that doesn't do it, then you go to width right here, and you scroll to the right, and it widens the group of colors that gets removed. You could see that early in the image here, I put myself in front of that bright Kelly green. The reason I did that is because I wanted to remind you that bright Kelly green is what is removable. If you do use VideoPal, then it's important to have spokesman in front of that bright Kelly green color for automatic removal in VideoPal if you're having trouble with your videos. So I wanted to show you how to do that again. But for general use, you'd put yourself usually in front of a background like this: a house, a car, a lake, a mountain, a river, an ocean, a cityscape, but not green normally. Okay, so this would be for normal use, putting another kind of background behind. So basically that's it. That's the most important tweaks for just general green screen use before you get to that point of being an expert. What I showed you should be sufficient for starters. And we have much more training on it inside our Vinci product, which is the low-cost training, the second link below this video, on this. Steve Forster takes a crack at showing you as well. I just wanted to get it out there because obviously this light green color is something that he's not going to address for VideoPal use. Okay, the last thing, which I'm not going to dwell on, but I want to show you, is the fourth tab here, which is the delivery tab. You'd click this, and then to deliver your video, you'd actually at this point use this tab and then start deciding where to put it. For instance, you could do custom, which is going to put it on your hard drive, YouTube, Vimeo, Final Cut Pro 7, and Premiere XML output. That's all what you can do just by clicking these right here. So that's something that you'll want to learn more about inside those tutorials below.